All right. Shalom, 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 Israel. Yahweh Shem Yahshua or Most High in Christ blessed. I'm Soldier Kazak with Sons of Zion, Houston.
Soldier Casadio with Sons of Zion, Houston.
All praise to the Most High, all praise to the Most High, right? We got another episode of Faith by Works, right, for your edification, man. The title of today's lesson is A Set Apart Day. A set apart day from all of the others, man. That's right. We're going to be talking about the Sabbath, right? When does it start? When does it end? What is lawful to do? What not to do on the Lord's Sabbath day, right? And then Brother Kasadi is going to be bringing out some informative information on, the history on when they, started taking us away. You know what I'm saying? And driving us away from keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High God, our heritage, right? The history behind, changing it to Sunday, things of that nature, right? So we're going to be diving into some research, and we're going to be looking at the laws regarding the Sabbath, and we're going to get a couple of counts, right, on the Sabbath day, right? Because, according to Romans, 15:4, right? Everything written aforetime is for our learning. So we need to learn, right, how our forefathers went off on the Sabbath day and, how to keep it, right? All right, so let's jump straight into it. This is the book of Colossians, chapter 3 and verse 17. And whatsoever ye do in word or deed, do all in the name of the Lord Yahweh Shah, giving thanks to Yahweh, the Father by him. So everything that we do, right, is by Shem Yahweh Shah, right? We glorify the Most High God by way of his Son, right, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. So in the Paleo Hebrew, we say, call Halal Yahweh by Shem Wamalak Yahweh Shah, right? Like I said before, that is giving all honor and praises to the Most High God Yahweh by way of his Son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. This is the book of James, chapter 2, and verse 14. What does it profit, my brethren, though a man say he hath faith and have not works? Can faith save him? Right? So by prophesying with your lips and saying, I got faith in God, right? We often hear this from Jake and Eve, who, walk to and fro when we're teaching in the highways and hedges. Yeah, I got faith. I know God. I believe in him, right? Well, can this save you, brother? Can this save you, sister? Right? This cannot save you alone. You have to prove your belief. This is the book of James 2 and verse 17. It says, even so, faith, if it have not works, is dead being alone. Ye a man say, thou hast faith, and I have works. Show me thy faith without thy works, and I will show thee my faith by my works. So you show forth your belief, your fear, your love for the Most High God by your works, your deeds, showing forth the fruit of believing in the Most High God, showing forth the fruit that you fear the Most High God and that you love him and you believe that he can take you out any time. All right. This is the book of 1 John chapter 3 and verse 18. My little children, let us not love in word, neither in tongue, but in deed and in truth. Right. So, hey, faith by works is important. Okay. Here we learn the commandment each and every week, week in and week out, so that we can learn how to love the Most High God in deed and in truth, to show forth the actions and our love for the Most High God. Because when you look at it in a more, worldly sense, right, just to condescend and to get you to further understand, when you want to join an organization, you want to put your child into, sports. When you wanted to join that fraternity in college before you came into this truth, right? When you want to join little small organizations to, make your neighborhood a better neighborhood, you understood that you had to pay dues, you had to put in works, you had to prove, right, your membership. Well, lo and behold, something much bigger, more important than something small like that, you have to prove your works in loving the Most High God and following him, right? So like I said, the commandment of the week is the Sabbath day. So let's jump straight into it. It's the book of Exodus chapter 20 and verse 8. It says, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, right? So it's saying right here, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Now, what does holy? What does holy mean, right? Let me share my screen real quick because we gotta really highlight these words and really understand what it is we're reading, right? So I'm gonna share my screen real quick, and we're gonna look at the Merriam-Webster definition, right? Don't need no distractions. Let me exit out of there, right? All right. The definition of holy, it says exalted, okay, which means to lift up, okay, all right, or worthy of complete devotion as one perfect in goodness and righteousness. So it's an act of righteousness, all right. This is something you need to be devoted to, right? Consistently, week in and week out, exalting this and showing forth its worthiness. All right. Go back to it and take that down. Right. So it says, well, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Right. So let's see what the actual scriptures say what holy means. Right. Real quick. It's the book of Leviticus, chapter 20, and verse 7 in the NLT. It says, so set yourselves apart to be holy, for I am the Lord your God. So it means to be set apart. This is a day that's set apart from the other days of the week. You understand? The definition of holy, right, is set apart or worthy of veneration by association with God, as in sacred. Okay. So we have to understand that this is a sacred day. It's a set apart day. All right. And it's not like the others. Okay. So reading on, right, in Exodus 20 and verse 8, it says, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shall thou labor and do all thy work. But the 7th day is a Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant or thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the 7th day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Right? So you have to understand that on this day, right, it's a set apart day and it's sacred, and you shouldn't be doing any work on it. Right? You have 6 days. The Lord said you have 6 days to do this. You got 6 days to get your 8 hours here, get your 10 hours there, get your 11 hours there, get your 12 hours there, and add it all up to where you have a paycheck, all right, that's good to take care of your bills and your dwelling place. But on that 7th day, you are to not do any work, right? That goes for you business owners as well. It says, thy manservant nor thy maidservant. See, back then, right, we had, actual servants, right? Today we don't. But you also have some in Israel who have employees, right? So on this day, you are to make sure that those servants rest, those employees rest if you own a business, right? It says what? Nor thy cattle. Okay. So if you're a country boy, right, you work in the farms and you know what I'm saying, you own a farm, you know what I'm saying, you're in this truth, you got your green thumb, and this is how you make your money. Guess what? Your cattle is to not work. It's time to turn them out into the pasture, let them relax, let them graze, right? And you're to not work them today, right? If you got horses and you want to just, ride for pleasure, you're not supposed to be doing anything pleasurable to your desire on this day. Neither you to work your horse, right? So it says, for thy cattle, right? Nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. It says, for in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth. So 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, right? The creeping things, all right, the fowls of the air, all of the different living things, everything was created in 6 days. So on this 7th day, the Lord rested, so we shall do the same, right? And it says at the end, and hallowed it. Let's get the definition of hallowed, right? So I'm gonna share my screen real quick, and we're gonna get the we're gonna get the definition of hallowed, right? It says here, right? Synonyms of hallowed. It says reverend, right? Sacred, venerable, venerated. Okay, so when you look at these, right, we also see this in what is that? I want to say Ephesians 5. When our women are supposed to show reverence unto their husband, It's the same process. We're to show reverence unto the Sabbath day, show respects, right? It's sacred and it's venerable, right? So when we look at these synonyms, right, venerable means deserving honor or respect. Same as venerated, right? Reverend, right? And sacred. Sacred means to not, it means not to be violated, right? So this is a sacred day where you're not supposed to violate the rules and regulations in accordance to it, right? It's respected, respectable, right? Other synonyms include distinguished, right? Which means showing a formal or serious or reserved manner. So this is something serious, man, right? Here in Sons of Zion, all right? And you can email us, right? Once you become part of the body, hey, guess what? We have a document to where you can submit this to, right, your workplace, your place of work, and to where you don't have to work on the Sabbath day. You can follow the law, statutes, and commandments the way the Most High God has commanded you, all right, to keep, right? You can actually submit that, and they have to honor that. It is your right, right? Moving on, it says honorable, honored, right? Reverenced, esteemed, reputable. These are all synonyms of hallowed. You understand? And right here, it just shows 5 of them. All right. But when you click on this, all of what I gave you, right, is listed. But it acts up. For some reason, it acts up whenever I click on it. So, all right, I'm gonna stop sharing. And I think we lost Brother Casadio, right? But once he taps back in, we'll get him in, right? I think he probably lost signal. But we're gonna keep the party going. Whenever he taps in, I'll add him back in, right? So, all right, we're gonna get it in another place, right? Exodus chapter 35 and verse 1. It says, "And Moses gathered all the congregation of Israel together and said unto them, These are the words which the Lord hath commanded, that ye should do them. 6 days shall work be done, but on the 7th day," there he is. We got you in.
Slacky King Wi-Fi again.
Yeah, that's Satan. That's Satan trying to take it away. It's all good though. Hey, it must come out. It must come out, man. Right. So you ain't miss too much. I was just giving synonyms for the word hallowed and how the Sabbath day is hallowed in Exodus 20 verse 8 through 11, and I got synonyms for it. All right, and we also see the commandment mentioned in Exodus 35 and verse 1 as well. And I'll start it up again. It says, "And Moses gathered all the congregation of the children of Israel together, and said unto them, These are the words which the Lord hath commanded, that ye should do them. 6 days shall work be done, but on the 7th day there shall be to you a holy day." When we know what the word holy means, according to Scripture and Merriam-Webster, it says a Sabbath of rest to the Lord. "Whosoever doeth work therein shall be put to death. Ye shall kindle no fire throughout your habitations upon the Sabbath day." Right? So it says right here, right? It is a day of rest. "Whosoever doeth work therein shall be put to death." So that shows your seriousness as well. How when we tapped into the word sacred, how it's serious, all right, and it's a formal manner, right? The Lord said you will be put to death if you break the Sabbath day, right? So that just shows you the seriousness, right, and how vital this is. Okay, and it says what? "Ye shall kindle no fire throughout your habitations upon the Sabbath day." So what took place when we kindled fire back in the day? We had to gather sticks, right? Our forefathers had to rub sticks together, gather that heat, get a spark, blow on it, kind of get that thing to catch. You know what I'm saying? That required work, man, right? So it says right here, it says, "Ye shall kindle no fire throughout your habitation." So how do we remember that today, right? Because it doesn't take any work for us to change the knob, turn the knob on the stove, right? Kind of press buttons on the microwave, right? Put some stuff in the air fryer, hit the button, let it go, right? But you have to understand the preparation process. That's work, right? You know what I'm saying? Cutting those potatoes up to fry them in the air fryer, right? Hey, putting on that stove, what you putting on that stove? 4-course meal, right? Kind of preparing things, going to the grocery store and preparing it, right? So that's all of that is work behind it. So today is a day where you need to what? Make sandwiches. Hey, eat you some fruit, right? Eat you some things that have been prepared the previous day, right? You need to be looking into all of the ways of relaxing, right? Because it takes work to prepare that meal. You understand? So this is why we're supposed to what? Kindle no fire, and it says what? A Sabbath of rest to the Lord, right? So when does it start and when does it end? And then I'm gonna pass it to the brother, right? When does it start? Let's go to the book of Genesis, chapter 1, and I'm gonna start at verse 5. It says, and God called the light day, and the darkness he called night, and the evening and the morning were the first day. So it says here, what? A day, right, is measured from evening to morning. So a day starts in the evening, right? This is the book of Matthew, chapter 28, and verse number 1. In the end of the Sabbath, as it began to dawn before the first day of the week, and we understand the first day of the week is Sunday, right? Came Mary Magdalene and the other Mary to see the sepulchre, right? So we understand that the Sabbath day, right? It begins Friday sundown and it ends Saturday sundown, a whole 24-hour period, right? When we look in the book of Leviticus chapter 23 and you see how the Day of Atonement was measured, which was on the Sabbath, right? It was from sundown Friday to sundown Saturday. Sundown the sixth day of the week to sundown of the seventh day of the week. The Sabbath is the seventh day. You understand? So it's sundown to sundown, a 24-hour period. That's your Sabbath day, right? But you got it, Ken. You can go ahead and jump in there.
Con. Mighty points that the brother was bringing out. Understand that the Sabbath day is a very, very important deal to the Most High God, right? And why so? One of my favorite precepts about the Sabbath day that we tend to overlook. We'll go back to Exodus. The book of Exodus, chapter 31, and verse number 12. It says, and the Most High spake unto Moses, saying, speak thou also unto the children of Israel, saying, verily my Sabbaths ye shall keep, for it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations, that ye may know that I am the Most High that doth sanctify you. Right? And ye shall keep the Sabbath, therefore, for it is holy unto you. And the brother just went into the definition of holy, right? Everyone that defileth it shall surely be put to death. For whoever doeth any work therein, that soul shall be cut off from among his people. Right? It just goes into it. 6 days shall work be done, but on the 7 days a Sabbath of rest, as we've been going into. But understand that the main point is that this day is a sign, right? When you keep this day, you allow the Most High to know who you see as your God, first and foremost. You allow the world to see who you worship, first and foremost. Everybody not keeping the Sabbath. The Sabbath was given to the children of Israel to keep. It's a day that the Most High God himself took to rest. Let's get that real quick. It's the book of Genesis. Let's go all the way back to the beginning. Book of Genesis, chapter 2, from the top. Verse 1, it says, thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the host of them. And on the seventh day, the Most High ended his work, which he had made, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work, which he had made. And the Most High blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because that in it he had rested from all the work which the Most High created and made. Right? So when you take the time out to acknowledge this day, right, you're taking time out to show the Most High God, one, how thankful you are, two, how much you revere him, and three, how much you're obedient to his will and his way and not the ways of the world, right? At the end of the day, he gave the children of Israel the Sabbath day as a memorial for all of his great works, right? Let's get the classic. It's the book of 1 John, chapter 2, because again, it says that this is a sign Keeping this day is a sign between the Most High God and the children of Israel. It's the book of 1 John chapter 2. Start at verse 3. It says, and hereby we do know that we know him, if we keep his commandments. He that saith, I know him, and keepeth not his commandments, is a liar, and the truth is not in him. Right? That's something that's very vital that we understand. When the Most High God says that this day is a sign, right? He's saying that we're it's an indicator that we know who the Most High God is. Back in Exodus 31, verse 16, it says, wherefore the children of Israel shall keep the Sabbath, to observe the Sabbath throughout their generations for a perpetual covenant, right? Meaning forever. This thing does not end, right? Yahushua kept the Sabbath. The disciples kept the Sabbath. Even after the crucifixion of Yahushua, we kept the Sabbath. And we're going to get into that, right? Verse 17, it says, it is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever. For in 6 days the Most High made heaven and earth, and on the 7th day he rested and was refreshed. Right? So it's a sign forever, right? The children of Israel were given the Sabbath day. Yahweh says that the Sabbath was made for man, right? Not man for the Sabbath, right? This is our day of rest. This is our day to spend time with our Father, our Creator, the Holy One of Israel, our Redeemer, right? Our power. It's a time to recharge, right? Because we go through afflictions day in and day out. We go through the whip of Esau day in and day out in this wicked captivity. This is our time to, I guess, reestablish ourselves, right? And connect with the Most High, to recharge. You know how at the end of the day you get home and the first thing you do is you want to plug your phone into the charger. Well, this is what that Sabbath day is for us, right? We're plugging back in to our power source, right? Each and every week. It's a beautiful thing, right? Real quick. Not only do we plug back into our power source, but this is also the day that a lot of our people went to worship. And we're going to prove that real quick. We're going to go to the book of Acts. Contrary to popular belief, our people think that the day that we go worship is on Sunday, and that's not so. How we always done it was on this Sabbath day. It's the book of Acts, chapter 13, and verse 14, right? It says, but when they departed from Perga, they came to Antioch in Pisidia and went into the synagogue on the Sabbath day and sat down. And after the reading of the law and the prophets, what the world calls the Old Testament, right? The rulers of the synagogue sent unto them, saying, ye men and brethren, if ye have any word of exhortation for the people, say on, right? Then Paul stood up and beckoning with his hand said, men of Israel, and ye that fear the Most High, give audience, right? So this was the day that we gathered together, that we came together, that we read the scriptures, we entreated with the Most High in a congregation type setting, right? What we will call church today. I'm gonna jump down. I'm gonna jump down a lot, actually. I'm gonna skip down to verse 42, right? It says, and when the Jews were gone out of the synagogue, so this is what the end of your so-called church service, right? The Gentiles besought that these words might be preached to them the next Sabbath. So this was something they did every week. And real quick, I said the word Gentiles, so I just want to kind of bring understanding to that. We're still talking about Israel at the end of the day. It's the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 2. It says, ye know that ye were Gentiles carried away unto these dumb idols, even as ye were led. Right? So it's talking to the children of Israel, saying that they were Gentiles because they had been discontinued from their heritage through what? Idolatry. It says, wherefore I give you to understand that no man speaking by the Spirit of the Most High calleth Yahushua cursed, and that no man can say that Yahushua is the Lord, but by the Holy Ghost. So we're speaking to the children of Israel, right, who believe on Yahushua, right? These so-called Gentiles are at the end of the day Israelites, right, that had been discontinued, but through the sacrifice of Yahushua, they have been given granted repentance and welcome to come back into the fold, right? So this is what Paul is talking about when he says Gentiles. So I'm going to get back to Acts 13, verse 43. It says, now when the congregation was broken up, many of the Jews and religious proselytes followed Paul and Barnabas, who, speaking to them, persuaded them to continue in the grace of the Most High God. Right? So at the end of the day, this was what we did every Shabbat. This was when our church service was held. Right? And like the brother said, we're going to get into who it was that changed it from Saturday, Sabado, the Sabbath, to Sunday. We're going to get into that a little bit later. But first, let me get some more accounts on the fact that Saturday was the day that we did these things. It's the book of Luke. Classic. Chapter 4. And I'm going to start at verse 16. It says, and he came to Nazareth where he had been brought up. It's talking about Yahushua, obviously. It says, and as his custom was, and went into the synagogue on the Sabbath day, and stood up for to read. And there was delivered unto him the book of the prophet Isaiah, which is Isaiah. Right? And when he had opened the book, he found the place where it was written, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he hath anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. He has sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to preach deliverance to the captives, and recovering of sight to the blind, to set at liberty them that are bruised, to preach the acceptable year of the Most High. And he closed the book and gave it again to the minister and sat down. And the eyes of all of them that were in the synagogue were fastened on him. So even Yahushua preached in the synagogues on the Sabbath day, right? He literally went in the synagogue and read Isaiah chapter 61, right? Speaking of Isaiah, let's go to Isaiah real quick and get another account. It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 66 and verse 23, right? It says, and it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, said the Most High. And they shall go forth and look upon the carcasses of men that have transgressed against me, right? I'm stop right there. At the end of the day, he says, from one Sabbath to another, all flesh shall come and worship before me. This was the day that we came, that we congregated and worshiped before the Most High God, right? This is this is what our people think they are doing every Sunday, when that's not the case, because we're doing it in error, right? Back to Acts. And I got a bunch of precepts. Acts chapter 16 and verse 13. It says, and on the Sabbath day, on the Sabbath, we went out of the city by the riverside, where prayer was wont to be made. And we sat down and spake unto the women which were stored thither, right? This is when the work was usually done. This was when the preaching was normally done. This is when congregations were made. I can't stress that enough. This is when congregations was made. This is when our people came together. We pulled out the scriptures and we had biblical discourse, right? We exhorted one another, right? We rebuked one another if we had to. We healed one another, right? Through the scriptures on this Sabbath day. This was the day that we had church, so to speak. I'm saying with that, I yield.
Con, mighty points. The brother was saying, hey, look, this was what we were doing every Saturday, right? as a practice, right? It was part of our heritage. We understand that. This is the book of Sirach, chapter 17, and verse number 11. It says, beside this, he gave them knowledge and the law of life for an heritage, right? So the law, statutes, and commandments is our heritage, right? Keeping the Sabbath day is a part of our heritage, right? And the brother's going to jump into how, that was removed and it changed into Sunday, right? Because when we tap in the book of Psalms, chapter 83, it says, we will take crafty counsel, right, against thine hidden ones, right? This is a part of that crafty counsel. I'm going to change, right, their Sabbath day into Sunday. Now I'm going to make these cats worship the sun, right? And I'm going to have them jumping up and down, right, dancing to tambourines and drums and this, that, and the third, and a bunch of wickedness, right? When this was our heritage, to keep it, to rest in our dwelling place, to go out to the highways and hedges, and to actually bid our people to the marriage, right? Reading on, it says, he made an everlasting covenant with them and showed them his judgments. Their eyes saw the majesty of his glory, and their ears heard his glorious voice. And he said unto them, beware of all unrighteousness. And he gave every man commandment concerning his neighbor, right? So, hey, this is our heritage, right? And this is how we glorify the Most High God, right? And this is how we know how beautiful he is, because he gave us, right, the apple of his eye, law, statutes, and commandments for a heritage. This is how we, all right, dwell as people, all right? This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 17, and verse 4, the classic. And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in a land which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever. So we provoke the Most High God to anger, right? This is the reason why we have been discontinued, but we're trying to come back. We're trying to bid our people to the marriage, directing them on how to keep the Sabbath day holy, right? And how they should rest, right? This is all tying in one together, right? So we're going to actually get, right, a few accounts regarding the punishment, the regulations, and how serious the Sabbath is, right? We're going to go to the book of Numbers, chapter 15, and verse 32. I'm going to start at 32, right? And while the children of Israel were in the wilderness, right, this is after, all right, Israel left out of, the confines of Pharaoh, right, when Moses led them, and parted the Red Sea and led them out there in the wilderness at this point. It says, and while the children of Israel were in the wilderness, they found a man that gathered sticks upon the Sabbath day, right? And this is what takes place before you kindle a fire, right? It says, and they that found him gathering sticks brought him unto Moses and Aharon and unto the congregation. And they put him inward in a ward, right? Because it was not declared what should be done to him. And the Lord said unto Moses, the man shall be surely put to death. All the congregation shall stone him with stones without the camp. And all the congregation brought him without the camp and stoned him with stones, and he died. And the Lord commanded as the Lord commanded Moses, right? So a man was found gathering sticks, working on the Sabbath, and he was stoned to death. You understand? Let's get another account, the cause and effect regarding this, right? We're going to go to the book of Jeremiah. We're going to go back to chapter 17, right? And the brother froze. Looked like the brother Casadio froze. We're going to have to have him come back in, right? Brother Wi-Fi tripping. There you go. There you go. You hear me good? I'll praise to the Most High, right? So the cause and effect in the book of Jeremiah. We're going to go to Jeremiah 17, and I'm going to start at verse 19. It says, thus said the Lord unto me, go and stand in the gate of the children of the people, whereby the kings of Judah come in, and by the which they go out, and in all the gates of Jerusalem, and say unto them, right? This is Jeremiah being commanded to prophesy amongst the gates of Jerusalem, right? To Judah, right? It says, hear ye the word of the Lord, ye kings of Judah, and all the inhabitants of Jerusalem that enter in by these gates. Thus saith the Lord, take heed to yourselves, and bear no burden on the Sabbath day, nor bring it in by the gates of Jerusalem, neither carry forth a burden out of your houses on the Sabbath day, neither do ye any work, but hallow ye the Sabbath day, as I commanded your fathers. So right here, Jeremiah is prophesying, right, to the Israelites, right, and saying, hey, look, bear no burdens on the Sabbath day. This is what the Lord has commanded. It says, but they obeyed not. Let's see what happens when they didn't obey, right? Because we seen right back in Numbers how a man was stoned for gathering sticks. So let's see it again. It says, but they obeyed not, neither inclined their ears. So they didn't hearken unto him, right? Just like how we go into the highways and hedges and they turn away the shoulder. They didn't hearken unto us, right? So let's see what happens. But made their neck stiff, that they might not hear nor receive instruction. Okay. And it shall come to pass, if ye diligently hearken unto me, saith the Lord, to bring in no burden through the gates of this city on the Sabbath day, but hallow the Sabbath day, to do no work therein, then shall there enter into the gates of the city kings and princes, sitting upon the throne of David, riding in chariots and horses, they and their princes, the men of Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and this city shall remain forever. So you have to understand the Most High God has given the reward, the insight. Look, if you listen to it, it's just like Deuteronomy 20 and verse 1 versus Deuteronomy 28 and verse 15, right? If you listen unto me and bear no burdens on the Sabbath day, hey, guess what? You're going to be on chariots, right? You're going to be set upon high, right? The throne of David shall reign, right? And you're going to be riding on chariots and horses. But let's see what happens, man. Let's see what happens, right? We're going to skip down to verse 27 in the NLT. Very plain. It says, but if you do not listen to me and refuse to keep the Sabbath day holy, and if the Sabbath day you bring loads of merchandise through the gates of Jerusalem, just as on other days, then I will set fire to these gates. The fire will spread to the palaces, and no one will be able to put out the roaring flames. So the Most High God says what through the prophet Jeremiah? Guess what? I'm gonna light this thing up, and you ain't gonna be able to put it out. Hey, you're gonna be you're gonna be on chariots and horses, and you're gonna reign on the throne of David, right? If you don't bear any burdens on the Sabbath day, if you don't carry merchandise and sell things. But guess what? If you want to violate that, you want to do that, guess what? I'm gonna light this thing up. And it's the same thing now. It's the same thing back during the time of Moses, right? It happens time and time again throughout history. If you obey me, you're gonna be set up on high. I'm gonna reward you. I'm gonna love you. Hey, guess what? But whoop your ass. I'm gonna humble you and I'm gonna base you. Hey, I'm gonna light you up if you don't follow my rules and regulations. Time and time again throughout history, right? Let's get another one, right? We're gonna go to the book of Exodus, chapter 16. It's the book of Exodus, chapter 16, right? Start at verse 22, and it reads, right? And it came to pass that on the sixth day they gathered twice as much bread. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna go to Nehemiah. Let's go to Nehemiah first, and then I'm gonna go to Exodus, right? So I got this account in Nehemiah chapter 13, right? Verse 15. I like this account. This is a mighty account, right?
That's the spirit, King. I just started to it just now.
Man, I want to get this one first, man, before I go to Exodus 16, right?
God.
It's the book of Nehemiah, chapter 13. I'm going to start at verse 15. It says, in those days saw I in Judah some treading wine presses on the Sabbath and bringing in sheaves and lading asses, as also wine, grapes, and figs, and all manner of burdens, which they brought into Jerusalem on the Sabbath day, right? So we got people that's breaking the Sabbath day, man. You know, we got people that's trading wine presses, they're gathering grapes and figs, and they selling it, right? We got people that's loading up asses, you know, with this merchandise and moving about like any other day, right? It says, and I testified against them in the day wherein they sold victuals. Hey, so we got mighty Jeremiah saying, look, I testified against them, right? I'm gonna take a stand, right? This is wrong. right? Same thing that we do in the highways and hedges. When we see our northern kingdom sister over here making tacos right next to our camp spot, right? When we see, right, a brother sometime back selling candy on a little trailer sitting right there in front of our I'm talking about stiff neck as all get out, selling candy, right? The same thing with the Edomite that's right next to us selling pizza, right, on our camp spot, right? It says, and I testified against them in the day wherein they sold victuals. It says, they dwelt men of Tyre also therein. Tyre is from the descendants of Ham, if you will, right? Which brought fish and all manner of ware and sold on the Sabbath unto the children of Judah and in Jerusalem. So you got the heathen, right, serving the same wicked ass crafty counsel like Brother Casadia was going into, right? It says, then I contended with the nobles of Judah and said unto them, what evil thing is this that ye do, and profane the Sabbath day? Did not your fathers thus? And did not our God bring all this evil upon us and upon this city? Yet ye bring more wrath upon Israel by profaning the Sabbath. So he's telling them, hey, look, you do these type of things, you bringing more and more, you heaping that fire upon our heads, man. You making the Most High God mad, right? You're increasing and you're making, all right, the magnitude of his punishments great upon us as a nation. It says what? And it came to pass that when the gates of Jerusalem began to be dark before the Sabbath, right? That's further proven when the Sabbath day starts, right? It says, I commanded that the gates should be shut and charged that they should not be open till after the Sabbath. So he said, man, look, hey, this ain't going down no more. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to shut these gates up. This ain't going down no more. It says, and some of my servants set I at the gates, that there should no burden be brought in the Sabbath, in on the Sabbath day. So the merchants and the sellers of all kind of ware lodged without Jerusalem once or twice. Then I testified against them and said unto them, why lodge ye about the wall? If ye do so again, I will lay hands on you. From that time forth came they no more on the Sabbath. So he said, you know what, I don't know no problem. You know, big Jeremiah, big dog, hey, look, we ain't gonna do this. That's what took place. We have to take a stand as a people, man, right? Because it's cause and effect. Now we're gonna go to Exodus, right? And this is man, that was a very powerful account. You have to understand, we have to take a Sabbath, man. I mean, we have to take a stand against anybody, right, that profanes the Sabbath and breaks any of the commandments for that matter, right? Hey, that's Ezekiel chapter 3 and verse 18 all day long. Warning the wicked, or guess what? You're going to have to pay for it. If you don't warn your brother and tell him that he's doing wickedly, Most High God is going to hold you accountable because you know better. Same thing. Hey, Nehemiah knew that. So we'll make it so beautiful. We get one more account and then I'll pass it to the brother. The brother froze again, man. Hey, Satan is working on, man. Satan is working over there, man. There you go. I think he back. Hey,
I'm still here.
You can't catch a break. You have froze.
Nah, the camera might freeze, but I still be in here because I'm going off the hotspot now. I was like, I ain't trying to trust in that Wi-Fi right now.
Con, I'll praise. I'm gonna get one more account, King. I'm gonna pass it to you. Right, I gotta go get my charger because then it's not Satan trying to take away my battery life. It's all good though. This is what has to take place. The word must come out. Right. One last account. It's the book of Exodus, chapter 16. I'm gonna start at verse 22. Right, and it says, and it came to pass that on the 6th day they gathered twice as much bread, 2 almers for one man. And all the rulers of the congregation came and told Moses. And he said unto them, this is that which the Lord has said. Tomorrow is the rest of the holy Sabbath unto the Lord. Bake that which ye will bake today, and see it that ye will see it. And that which remaineth over, lay up for you to be kept until the morning. Right? Just like I was telling you, right, earlier, right? 6 days you got to gather groceries. 6 days you got to go to the grocery store, make your list, go get your eggs, get your all this and that and the third, cook what you're going to cook. But on the Sabbath day, you're not going to do this, right? It says, what reading on? And they laid it up till morning, and Moses bathed, and it did not stink, neither was there any worm therein. And Moses said, eat that today, for today is a Sabbath unto the Lord. Today ye shall not find it in the field. 6 days ye shall gather it, but on the 7th day, which is the Sabbath, in it there shall be none. And it came to pass that Salakia, and it came to pass that there went out some of the people on the 7th day for to gather, and they found none. And the Lord said unto Moses, how long refuse ye to keep my commandments and my laws? See, for that the Lord hath given you the Sabbath. Therefore he giveth you on the 6th day the bread of 2 days. Abide ye every man in his place. Let no man go out of his place on the 7th day. So the people rested on the 7th day. So, hey, beautiful account where we see how Moses, teaches, our people, hey, gather what you're going to gather, right? Bake what you're going to bake and prepare it. Trust in the Lord. It's not going to spoil. You're going to have, right, what you need on the Sabbath day. Okay. All right. On the Sabbath day, you eat what you prepared the day before. You do all your work for 6 days, and on this day, you good. You understand? Right? But you got it, King.
Con. So what is lawful to do on the Sabbath day, right? Well, it is lawful to do good, first and foremost, right? We're going to start in the book of Matthew chapter 12, right? It says, at that time, Yahushua went on the Sabbath day through the corn, and his disciples were an hunger, meaning they was hungry, right? And began to pluck the ears of corn and to eat. But when the Pharisees saw it, they said unto him, behold, thy disciples do that which is not lawful to do upon the Sabbath day. But he said unto them, have ye not read what David did when he was an hungered, and they that were with him, how they entered into the house of God and did eat the showbread, which was not lawful for him to eat, neither for them which were with him, but only for the priests? Or have ye not read in the law how that on the Sabbath days the priests in the temple profane the Sabbath and are blameless? But I say unto you that in this place is one greater than the temple. But if ye had known what this meaneth, I will have mercy and not sacrifice, ye would not have condemned the guiltless. For the Son of Man is the Lord even of the Sabbath. Right? I'm gonna pick this account up, the same account in the book of Luke. Right? We're gonna start at verse 6. Well, chapter 6 and verse 6, right? Because I'm building on something. It says, and it came to pass also on another Sabbath that he entered into the synagogue and taught. And there was a man whose right hand was withered. And the scribes and Pharisees watched him, whether he would heal on the Sabbath, that they might find an accusation against him. But he knew their thoughts and said to the man which had the withered hand, rise up and stand forth in the midst. And he arose and stood forth. Then said Yahushua unto them, I will ask you one thing. Is it lawful on the Sabbath days to do good or to do evil, to save life or to destroy it? Right? This is a question we have to think about. Yahushua is literally making it plain and simple. What's lawful to do on the Sabbath day? He was walking in a time where you had wicked men, these scribes and Pharisees that knew the law, but were keeping it out of the spirit, out of context, right? The account that he was talking about with King David, right? They were literally in the midst of a battle. So King David had to do what he had to do in order to feed his men so that they can stay charged up for the battle, right? Right here, there's a man that literally needs to be healed. So Yahushua has to do what he needs to do in order to heal his people, right? Verse 10 says, and looking around, Looking round about upon them all, he said unto the man, stretch forth thy hand. And he did so, and his hand was restored, whole as the other. And they were filled with madness and communed one another what they might do to Yahushua. Right? So these wicked men out of the spirit are not understanding what it is that's lawful to do on the Sabbath day. And it can be real easy for Jake to read something verbatim in the law and just take it at face value without understanding the context, without understanding the spirit of what the Most High God put these things in place to be, right? We're going to jump to chapter 13. We're going to start at verse, let's see. We're going to start at verse 14, right? It says, and the ruler of the synagogue answered with indignation, because that Yahushua had healed on the Sabbath day, and said unto the people, there are 6 days in which men ought to work, and them therefore come and be healed, and not on the Sabbath day. The Lord then answered him and said, thou hypocrite, doth not each one of you on the Sabbath day loose his ox or his ass from the stall and lead him away to watering? Right? He's telling them, he's like, you're being hypocritical right now, right? You got livestock, and your livestock get thirsty. They need to drink in order to survive. If it's a Sabbath day, you mean to tell me you're going to sit there and let them dehydrate themselves to death? Or are you going to take them out and walk them to the watering hole to get water, right? Verse 16, it says, and ought not this woman, being a daughter of Abraham, whom Satan hath bound, lo, these 18 years, be loosed from his bond on the Sabbath day? He was like, how much more should your sister, who's literally bound by Satan, how much more so than your ox and your ass going to get water should she be freed from this bondage? These are the things that we got to think about. Again, the question is it lawful to do good on the Sabbath day? Yahushua is sitting here telling you, yes, right? It says, and when he had said these things, all his adversaries were ashamed, and all the people rejoiced for all the glorious things that were done by him, right? We understand that Yahushua committed no sin. He did these things, and he taught us the spirit behind these laws, right? But let's get some accounts to kind of further that point. Pull out my apocrypha. We're gonna jump into the Maccabees. This is First Maccabees chapter 2. And I'm gonna start at verse. Actually, I'm gonna set the stage real quick. We're gonna start from the top. It says, in those days arose Mattathias, the son of John, the son of Simeon, a priest of the son of Joarib, from Jerusalem, and dwelt in Modin. And he had 5 sons: Johanan, called Caddis, Simon, called Thassi, Judas, who was called Maccabeus, Eleazar, called Avaron, and Jonathan, whose surname was Aphus. And when he saw the blasphemies that were committed in Judah and Jerusalem, he said, woe is me, wherefore was I born to see this misery of my people and of the holy city, and to dwell there when it was delivered into the hand of the enemy, and the sanctuary into the hand of strangers, right? Her temple is become as a man without glory. Her glorious vessels are carried away into captivity. Her infants are slain in the streets. Her young men with the sword of the enemy. What nation hath not had a part in her kingdom and gotten of her spoils, right? So this is the stage. This is the times that Mattathias is living in. He's literally living in a time where our people have basically all but been conquered, right? Now we're going to jump down to get the points, right? This is verse 31, right? In the conquering the kings of the enemy, of the heathens, have made decrees and have enforced them on our people, right? He's given commandments and have enforced them on our people. And when at the end of the day, our people understand that we have to keep the commandments of the Most High God, right? So we're going to jump down to verse 31. It says, now when it was told the king's servants and the host that was at Jerusalem and the city of David, that certain men who had broken the king's commandments were gone down into the secret places in the wilderness, they pursued after them a great number, and having overtaken them, they camped against them and made war against them on the Sabbath day, right? This is the trickery that the heathen like to pull, right? They understand, these people understood that our people kept the Sabbath day. We rested on the Sabbath day. We did no labor, no work on the Sabbath day, right? So they took it upon themselves to war against us on a day when we should be at rest, right? Let's keep reading, verse 35. So then they gave them the battle with all speed. Howbeit, they answered them not, neither cast they a stone at them, nor stopped the places where they lay hid, right? Because they were keeping the Sabbath day, right? Verse 37, but said, let us die all in our innocency. Heaven and earth shall testify for us that ye put us to death wrongfully. So our people were really literally sitting there ready to just accept dying because they were not going to break the Sabbath day, right? Verse 38, it says, so they rose up against them in battle on the Sabbath, and they slew them with their wives and children and their cattle to number of 1,000 people. Now when Mattathias and his friends understood thereof, they mourned for them right sore. And one of them said to another, if we all do as our brethren have done, meaning allow ourselves to be murdered just to keep the Sabbath day, right? And fight not for our lives and laws against the heathen, they will now quickly root us up out of the earth, right? So he understood, man, if we don't fight back because we're trying to keep the Sabbath day, remember the question we posed to you earlier, is it lawful to do good on the Sabbath day, right? He understood that if we don't fight back just because it's the Sabbath day, we're literally going to be put to extinction. Verse 41, it says, at the time, therefore, they decreed, saying, whosoever shall come to make battle with us on the Sabbath day, we will fight against him. Neither will we die all, as our brethren that were murdered in the secret places. Right? Then came there unto him a company of Assyrians, who were mighty men of Israel, even all such as were voluntarily devoted unto the law. So we're not talking about no wicked jakes here. We're talking about some mighty jakes that are devoted to the law. They know the law. They know to keep the Sabbath day, right? Verse 43, also all they that fled for persecution joined themselves unto them and were stay unto them. So they joined their forces and smote sinful men in their anger and wicked men in their wrath. But the rest fled to the heathen for succor. Then Mattathias and his friends went round about and pulled down the altars. And what children soever they found within the coast of Israel uncircumcised, those they circumcised valiantly. They pursued also after the proud men, and the work prospered in their hand. Right. So even these mighty men that were scholars of the law, that loved keeping the law, they was like, nah, we agree with you, Mattathias. We can't let this happen. Right. We have to protect the temple of the Most High God. Right. Real quick, just as a sidebar, 1 Corinthians chapter 3 and verse 16 says, know ye not that ye are the temple of God, and that the Spirit of God dwelleth in you? If any man defile the temple of God, him shall God destroy, for the temple of God is holy, which temple ye are. Right? So again, we ask the question, is it lawful to do good on the Sabbath day? What's more good than defending the temple of the Most High God? Right? It says here that after they decided to do this thing on the Sabbath day. What, verse 47? They pursued also after the proud men, and the work prospered in their hand. Everything that they did prospered, right? They defended their people, prospering. All the uncircumcised, they circumcised, prospering, right? That prosper is very important, because what did the Most High God tell us about keeping his law, statutes, and commandments? Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 29 and verse 9. I'm about to rapid fire these, so I hope y'all got y'all pen up, right? Deuteronomy 29 verse 9, it says, keep therefore the words of this covenant and do them, that ye may prosper in all that ye do, right? Remember, rapid fire. Book of Joshua, chapter 1 and verse 7. Only be thou strong and very courageous, that thou mayest observe to do according to all the law which Moses my servant commanded thee. Turn not from it to do to the right hand or to the left, that thou mayest prosper whithersoever thou goest. This book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success. Right? Again, rapid fire, rapid fire. The book of 1 Kings, chapter 2. Verse 3, right? It says, and keep the charge of the Most High God, to walk in his ways, to keep his statutes and his commandments and his judgments and his testimonies, as it is written in the law of Moses, that thou mayest prosper in all that thou doest, and whithersoever thou turnest thyself. So obviously, if they prospered by rising up to defend their people on the Sabbath day, even though it was the Sabbath day, they still did not break the law, right? So again, Yahushua asked the question, is it lawful to do good on the Sabbath? Not only did he prove, but the scriptures prove that yes, it is absolutely good. It's absolutely lawful to do good on the Sabbath, right? Let's get back into 1 Maccabees chapter 2. We'll continue in verse 48. It says, so they recovered the law out of the hand of the Gentiles and out of the hand of the kings, neither suffered they the sinner to triumph. Now when the time drew near that Mattathias should die, he said unto his sons, now hath pride and rebuke gotten strength, and the time of destruction, and the wrath of indignation. Now therefore, my sons, be ye zealous for the law, and give your lives for the covenant of your fathers. Right? That's lawful. That's being lawful to do good. Right? Call to remembrance what acts our fathers did in their time, so shall ye receive great honor in an everlasting name, right? So we have to understand these things. We have to look at all of these accounts, right? These scriptures are here for our learning, right? And we have to look at every single one of these things. I'm gonna get another account in the Maccabees, so brothers can bear with me, right? I'm gonna set the stage for this one. This is 2 Maccabees, chapter 14. I'm gonna start at verse 12. It says, forthwith calling Nicanor, who had been master of the elephants, and making him governor over Judea, he sent him forth, commanding him to slay Judas. Remember Judas, one of the sons of Mattathias, right? And to scatter them that were with him, and to make Alchemists high priests of the great temple. Then the heathen that had fled out of Judea from Judas came to Nicanor by flocks, thinking the harm and calamities of the Jews to be their welfare. Now when the Jews heard of Nicanor's coming, and that the heathen were up against them, they cast earth upon their heads and made supplication to him that had established his people forever, and who always helpeth his portion with manifestation of his presence. So at the commandment of the captain, they removed straightways from thence, and came near unto them at the time of Esau, right? Now Simon, Judas's brother, had joined battle with Nicanor, but was somewhat discomfited through the sudden silence of his enemies. Nevertheless, Nicanor, hearing of the manliness of them that were with Judas, and the courageousness that they had to fight for their country, durst not try the matter by the sword. So Nicanor is already afraid because of the stage that was set by Judas's father, Mattathias, and the band that was with him, right? They understand that it doesn't matter. These people are valiant people, and they're going to fight for what they believe in, right? Let's jump chapters. Chapter 15 from the top. But these heathens still don't learn their lesson, right? Verse 15, chapter 1. It says, but Nicanor, hearing that Judas and his company were in the strong places about Samaria, resolved without any danger to set upon them on the Sabbath day, right? So Nicanor literally about to make the same mistake, right? Nevertheless, the Jews that were compelled to go with him said, oh, destroy not so cruelly and barbarously, but give honor to that day, which he that seeth all things hath honored with holiness above other days. Then the most ungracious wretch demanded, talking about Nicanor, if there were a mighty one in heaven that had commanded the Sabbath day to be kept. And when they said, there is in heaven a living Lord and mighty, who commanded the 7th day to be kept, then said the other, and I also am mighty upon earth, and I command to take arms and to do the king's business. Yet he obtained not to have his wicked will done, right? So Nicanor is in his pride of this heathen. Mind you, this is Esau we're talking about, right? And we're going to get into Esau and their pride and the things that they've done that have caused us to be in error to this day concerning the Sabbath day. Nicanor in his pride thought that, you know what, they worship a God that told them to celebrate on the Sabbath, and you say that this God is mighty. Well, I'm mighty here on this earth. I'm about to go up against him, right? Let's jump down to verse 17. Let's see. Actually, no, let's keep reading. Verse 6. So Nicanor, an exceeding pride and haughtiness, determined to set up a public monument of his victory over Judas and them that were with him, right? But Maccabees had ever sure confidence that the Lord would help him. Wherefore he exhorted his people not to fear the coming of the heathen against them, but to remember the help which in former times they had received from heaven, and now to expect the victory and aid which shall come unto them from the Almighty. Now I'm going to jump down to verse 17, right? Thus being well comforted by the words of Judas, which were very good, and able to stir them up to valor, and to encourage the hearts of the young men that determined not to pitch camp, but courageously to set upon them, and manfully to try the matter by conflict, because the city and the sanctuary and the temple were in danger. For the care that they took for their wives and their children, their brethren and kinsfolk, was in least account with them. But the greatest and principal fear was for the holy temple, right? Their main concern was protecting that temple of the Most High God that we just talked about in 1 Corinthians 3:16. Again, the question is it lawful to do good on the Sabbath day, right? Let's see how this turned out. We're going to jump down. Verse 20. And now, when as all looked what should be the trial, and the enemies were already come near, and the army was set in array, and the beasts conveniently placed, and the horsemen set in wings, Maccabeus, seeing the coming of the multitude, and the diverse preparations of armor, and the fierceness of the beast, stretched out his hand toward heaven, and called upon the Most High that worketh wonders, knowing that victory cometh not by arms, but even as it seemeth good to him, he giveth it to such as are worthy. Right? So what's getting ready to happen seem it good to the Most High God. So let's see what the Most High God does for him. Right? We're going to jump down to verse 25, right? Then Nicanor and they that were with him came forward with trumpets and songs. But Judas and his company encountered the enemies with invocation and prayer, so that fighting with their hands and praying unto the Most High with their hearts, they slew no less than 30 and 5,000 men. For through the appearance of the Most High, they were greatly cheered. Now, when the battle was done, returning again with joy, they knew that Nicanor lay dead in his harness. Then they made a great shout and a noise, praising the Almighty in their own language. Right? So the Most High God saw it. It seemed good unto them. They protected his temple. They did not break his law because it was lawful for them to do good on the Sabbath day. So even in the craftiness of Esau, thinking that they can come up against us and war against us on the Sabbath day, the fact that our people had it in their hearts to protect the temple of the Most High God, who we are at the end of the day as a people. They did a mighty and good work, and the Most High God delivered them out of that trial, right? And delivered their enemies into their hands, right? And with that, I yield.
Guys, great accounts, King. Great and powerful accounts, right? Because I mean, when reflecting on it and really looking into those accounts, when you was bringing out, it's really what it boils down to is over righteousness. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what the Pharisees were. They were over righteous and they were hypocrites, right? And we see this, you know, that same spirit on a lot of our people today, unfortunately. Like, come on, bro. Like, what it boils down to is a pride. Is like, I'm right spirit. You know what I'm saying? And it becomes it becomes hypocritical, right? Um, I'm gonna further prove your points. Did you get Mark chapter 1 by chance, King? I think he froze up again. I'm gonna get it anyway, right? It's the book of Mark chapter 1 and verse 21, right? And they went into Capernaum, and straightway on the Sabbath day, and he entered into the synagogue and taught. And they were astonished at his doctrine, for he taught them as one that had authority, and not as the scribes. And there was in their synagogue a man with an unclean spirit, and he cried out, saying, Let us alone. What have we to do with thee, thou Jesus of Nazareth? Art thou come to destroy us? I know thee whom thou art, the Holy One of God. And Yahushua rebuked him, saying, Hold thy peace, and come out of him. And when the unclean spirit had torn him, he cried with a loud voice. He came out of him. So right here in this account, right, it's just another one where, you know, Yahushua was, casting out an unclean spirit of on a man, right? So was he in sin, right? The brother brought out, right, so eloquently, you know, Yahushua was perfect. He did no sin, right? And on the Sabbath day, he casts out an unclean spirit on a man, right? And we do this, you know, throughout, week in and week out. We do this in the highways and hedges, right? It's the book of Leviticus 23 and 3. It says 6 days shall work be done, but on the 7th day is the Sabbath of rest, a holy convocation, right? So when we actually define, right, convocation, it's a assembly, right? It's an assembly. It's when we actually meet up in the highways and hedges and actually, bid the people to the marriage. Right here, the definition in the Merriam-Webster convocation is an assembly of persons called together to a meeting. The second one, right, and you have to, you have to use discernment when reading this. It says an assembly of bishops and representative clergy of the Church of England, right? We ain't no damn Englishmen, right? We the Israelites, God's chosen people above the English, right? Which is a tabernacle of Esau, but it's giving an example here, right? But we actually gather in the highways and hedges and actually teach our people. It says a consultative assembly of clergy and lay delegates from one part of an episcopal diocese. So it's an actual assembly. Okay, it's the actual togetherness. It's actually us coming together, right, and teaching our people. And then afterwards, what do? We drink, we be merry, and we feast. Right? It says it's the act or process of calling an assembly of persons to a meeting. Right? So y'all should get the point there, right? It repetitively, clearly says that it's actually assembly and it's a meeting, right? And in this meeting, what do? This is the book of 2 Timothy chapter 4 and verse 5. It says, but watch thou in all things, endure affliction, do the work of an evangelist, make full proof of thy ministry. So how we make full proof of the ministry, right? And we be that example is we do like how Yahushua did in the synagogue, right? In the streets, right? Rebuking, right? And teaching our people and evangelizing, going here, going there, going to Dallas, right? Going to New Orleans, Louisiana, going to Atlanta, Georgia, right? Going to Memphis, right? Tennessee, evangelizing because we are scattered, right? We are scattered in all places. And he wants us to do what? Bring forth the proof, show forth the proof of the ministry, right? And evangelize, go and teach our people as we endure these afflictions, right? It's the book of Luke, chapter 14, verse 23. It says, and the Lord said unto the servant, go out into the highways and hedges and compel them to come in that my house may be filled. Hey, right now we got a lot of space in the house of the Most High God. It's a lot of space here. The house of Israel is slim, very few. It's a lot of us, right? We understand that everybody can't go, right? But we have a lot of people, right, that really genuinely want to serve the Lord, but don't know who they are yet. This is why we have to continuously be watchful in all things and do the work of an evangelist. It's the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 1 and verse 5. It says, go thy way and show my people their sinful deeds, right? Phenomenal precept to Isaiah chapter 58 and verse 1. It says, go out into the highways and hedges and cry aloud, spare not, right? Lift up thy voice like a trumpet and show my people their transgressions, right? 2nd Esdras 1 and 5, reading on, it says, and their children, their wickedness which they have done against me. Hey, this is what Nehemiah was fighting for, right? This is what Moses was trying to teach, right? The people in the wilderness, right? And now we're doing this now. It says, and they may tell their children's children. So we're trying to, correct, generational mistakes, right? Curses of the Most High God has been put upon us because we're going off. We're being disobedient, right? So when it comes to faith by works, when it comes to, blowing of the trumpets, when it comes to the Sabbath service, when it comes to evangelizing on the Sabbath day, right? When it comes to unity camps, we're doing all of these things to do what? Do good on the Sabbath day, like the brother was so eloquently bringing up, right? On the Sabbath day, our people are supposed to educate themselves, relax, kick back, right? And actually meditate on the Most High God's laws, statutes, and commandments, and actually recuperate from all of the work they've done throughout the week, right? Hey, you got any closing points, King? Did you want to pull out any videos, articles to edify the people either further?
So let's get into it, right? Why do our people, instead of keeping the Sabbath, keep Sunday, right? I'm gonna share my screen. Let's see which one I want first. I want that one first. Here, let me share my screen. Boom. I'm ready to see it.
Good. Go ahead and cook.
Okay, right. So we'll start here at the top, right? I'm gonna zoom in so y'all can get a good view of it. It says, who changed the Sabbath day? Well, obviously nobody, right? Because nobody can change the Most High's laws, right? It says, since the Sabbath was not changed in the Bible, who changed the day of worship from Saturday to Sunday? And when did this change occur? It says, after the death of the original apostles, new ideas began to be introduced into Christianity during the 2nd century. Ignatius, Justin Martyr, Irenaeus, and Clement of Alexandria attacked Sabbath observance. Tertullian followed in the 3rd century. In AD 321, Roman Emperor Constantine established Sunday as a day of rest. And at the Council of Laodicea, around 365, the Catholic Church made it illegal to Judaize or be idle from work on the 7th day, Sabbath, right? So basically Esau is the answer to this question, right? But why would they change it to Sunday, right? Boom. So what made the mainstream Christian church change the day of rest and worship from Saturday to Sunday so long ago? The major causes seem to be a combination of church authority overriding scriptural principles and the influences of sun worship and anti-Semitism, right? At the end of the day, you got to understand Rome was pagan, right? Meaning they believed in multiple gods, chiefly being a sun god, a moon goddess, and a son of the sun god, right? And like it says here, they were also anti-Semites, right? And at this day and age, it's not talking about those small hats over there in the land right now. No, they were anti-us because we were in Rome at that time, right? See the whole New Testament, so-called. I'm gonna jump down. Let's see. Origin of Sunday worship, sun worship. Said Constantine was the first so-called Christian Roman emperor. Though he did stop much of the persecution of Christians as a whole, it seems he did more to introduce sun worship into Christianity than any before him, right? And it's funny because they actually put stuff like this in your popular culture, right? If y'all remember this Keanu Reeves movie called Constantine, I don't know if y'all remember that. That's actually a DC superhero movie. Constantine is a DC superhero, right? And his power is to be able to see spirits and walk in the heavenly realm and in the realm of hell, right? This is where that inspiration came from. You had a real man, a real emperor called Constantine that was trying to merge what we were doing with our scriptures with pagan Rome in order to save the Roman Empire. It's literally what he was doing, right? So how did he do it, right? He took pagan Roman practices and customs and just painted what's called a Christian veneer over it, right? It says historian Paul Johnson details some of this influence. Constantine was almost certainly a Mithraic, right? And Mithra would be the name of their sun god, right? And his triumphal arch, built after his conversion, testifies to the sun god or unconquered sun. Constantine never abandoned sun worship and kept the sun on his icons. He made Sunday into a day of rest, closing the law courts and forbidding all work except agricultural labor, right? That's in the History of Christianity in 1976, right? So a royal decree to rest on Sunday instead of Saturday was made by the Roman emperor, a sun worshiper. Now, thanks to Constantine, Christians were celebrating on the same day as the Mithraics worshiped the sun. This is a blatant example of pagan influence in Christian practices, right? And we were going into that a week ago when we were going into all of these folly days, right? These are all pagan influenced, as well as you going to church on Sunday and keeping Sunday, right? It says Christians now holding services on the venerable day of the sun became so confused in their worship that during the reign of Emperor Julian, Johnson notes, the Bishop of Troy told Julian he had always prayed secretly to the sun. Thus, Christianity took on a major facet of pagan sun worship that lives on today due to Constantine's influence, worshiping on Sunday. Right? This next point, that anti-Semitism and the rejection of the Sabbath, right? I'm gonna pull up an actual document. It says surging anti-Semitism in post-apostolic times. Mind you, when it says anti-Semite, again, it's not talking about those people in the land. It's talking about us, right? And post-apostolic times also played a major role in the change to Sunday. The Council of Laodicea in AD 365 decided Christians must not Judaize by resting on the Sabbath, but must work on that day, rather honoring the Lord's day. And if they can, resting then as Christians, right? But if any shall be found to be Judaizers, let them be anathema from Christ, right? And I'm going to stop right there real quick, and we're going to actually pull this document from the Council of Laodicea. Boom. Share my screen again. Can we see it?
Con.
It's a PDF, so it's going to move kind of choppy. So just bear with me. Boom. We're going to scroll down, and that was, hold on, let's get it. It's an introduction to what this is, right? The Laodicea at which the synod met is Laodicea in Phrygia Pacatiana, also called Laodicea at Lycum, and to be carefully distinguished from the Laodicea in Syria. This much is certain, but as to the exact date of the synod, there is much discussion. Peter der Marca fixed it at the year of 365, right? So this is that council in which, basically in layman's terms, this is when the religion of Christianity was being put together, right? This is when the doctrines of devils was added, right? And to what you think you worship. Let's scroll down to the point. So mind you, all the evidence, right? They go by the name of canons. So you got canon number 1, number 2. We're looking for canon number 29. And we're just gonna read it again. That it's a real thing. (22) 23, goodness gracious, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, right? What does it say? It says Christians must not Judaize by resting on the Sabbath, work on that day, rather honoring the Lord's day. And they can, resting then as Christians, right? But if any shall be found to be Judaizers, let them be anathema from Christ, right? So we're putting, they literally put a distinction, right? That there's a difference between Judaism, as they call it, which again is talking about us, versus Christians, right? What we did, we followed the scriptures and the law of the Most High God. This Christian that they're talking about is something completely different, right? It says, let them be anathema from Christ. Real quick, drop this. And I already got the definition of that word pulled up. Right? Brother, see it?
God, you good? Zoom in a little bit.
Zoom in. Anathema. It's a noun, right? I mean, it's a person, place, or thing. It says someone or something intensely disliked or loathed, usually used as a predicate. It's a nominative, one that is cursed by ecclesiastical or church authority, right? Again, that last article that we brought up, that part of their reasoning for changing the day from Saturday to Sunday wasn't just because they worshiped the sun, but also because of how much they hated us, right? So what are we proving to you? That following humanity is literally following the devil. That's literally what you're doing. You're following Esau and his decrees, right? And we just brought it to you. Boom. Let's get back to that council of Laodicea. Because it's deep, and we really have to look at what it is that we're doing, right? As a people that say we love the Lord. Right? Here's the notes. A Christian shall not stop work on the Sabbath, but on the Lord's day, right? Their Lord. What they told you, it's the sun, right? It says here the Father's order that no one of the faithful shall stop work on the Sabbath, as do the Jews, but that they should honor the Lord's day on account of the resurrection, and that on that day they should abstain from manual labor and go to church. But thus, abstaining from work on Sunday, they do not lay down as a necessity, but they add if they can. For if through need or necessity anyone worked on the Lord's day, this was not reckoned, right? So literally, they are worshiping a different Lord, right? And we understand that that Lord is the sun. It goes deep. Paganism, remember, in paganism, all of these pagan heathen societies, right? They all had basically a big three. You had a sun god, a moon goddess, and a son of the sun god, which was also a sun god, right? Well, in Catholicism, you have who they call God the Father. You have Mary, and you have Cesare Borgia, who they call Jesus, right? This is their sun god. This is who they are worshiping every single Sunday. This is who you are worshiping when you partake in the things that they do in order to worship. Mind you, all of these decrees came from Esau. Let me pull some precepts real quick before we close out. It's the book of Daniel, chapter, you know what? I'm going to get that later. Hold on. It's the book of 1 Timothy, chapter 4, verse 1. It says, now the Spirit speaketh expressly that in the latter times, the times that we in now, right? Some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of, right? Who's the biggest devil but Esau, who deceived the whole world, right? 2 Timothy 4:3, right? For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, but after their own lusts shall they heap to themselves teachers, having itching ears, and shall turn their ears from the truth, and shall be turned unto fables, right? These are all fables. They have no scriptural evidence as to why Sunday should be the day that's being worshiped, but instead of Saturday, right? No, this is all something that comes out of their own heart. Has nothing to do with the scriptures, has nothing to do with the Most High God. The book of 2 Peter, chapter 2, and verse 1. But there were false prophets also among the people, even as there shall be teachers among you, who privately shall bring in damnable heresies, even denying the Most High that bought them, and bring upon themselves swift destruction. Right? Esau is bringing upon themselves swift destruction, but also 2/3 of our people who refuse to stop following this devil. Right? Now let's get Daniel. I'm sorry if I'm going fast, but the scriptures talk about all of this stuff. And I get real passionate when our people refusing to wake up, to arise out of sleep, walk on in darkness, right? Daniel chapter 7, verse 25. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws. And they shall be given into his hand until a time and the times and the dividing of time, right? This devil thinks he can change laws and times, right? Wearing out the saints, speaking words against the Most High, talking about the Lord's day is Sunday, right? That's a damn lie. That's blasphemy. That's all it is. That's all it boils down to at the end of the day. Again, rapid fire. Colossians chapter 2, verse number 8. It says, beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceits, after the tradition of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after Christ, right? Understand that these things are traditions of Esau, not traditions of the Most High God, right? Not traditions after the law, statutes, and commandments that were given to us by the hand of Moses, right? But traditions by the damn devil. 2 Corinthians chapter 11. Classic. In verse number 14, right? It says, and no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. Therefore, it is no great thing if his ministers also be transformed as the ministers of righteousness, whose end shall be according to their works, right? This is Satan at the end of the day, trying to make you think he is the authority of these scriptures when everything that he does goes against these scriptures, right? Everything that he does goes against you, Israel, right? Everything he does is out of hate for you and out of hate for the Most High God, when at the end of the day, he's the one that sold his birthright, right? I'm going to close the book of 2 Peter chapter 3 and verse 17. It says, ye therefore, beloved, seeing ye these things before, beware lest ye also, being led away the error of the wicked, fall from your own steadfastness, right? But grow in grace and in the knowledge of our Lord and Savior, Yahweh Shai HaMashiach. To him be glory both now and forever. Amen. And saying with that, I yield, man.
Mighty point. So in summary, Israel, this is a day where, all right, from sundown Friday to sundown Saturday, you are to rest. You are not to do any servile work. You shouldn't be doing any cooking. All right. Shouldn't be doing your pleasures, right? And I think I forgot to bring that out. This is Isaiah 58 verse 13. It says, if thou turn away thy foot from the Sabbath, from doing thy pleasure on my holy day, and call the Sabbath a delight, the holy of the Lord honorable, and shall honor him, not doing thine own ways, nor finding thine own pleasure, nor speaking thine own words, then shalt thou delight thyself in the Lord. And I will cause thee to ride upon the high places of the earth, and feed thee with the heritage of Jacob thy father, for the mouth of the Lord has spoken it, right? So this is a day where you're not supposed to be doing what you want to do, right? No going skating, no going to the gym and playing pickup basketball, right, with the fellas, right? No attending a trail ride, right? No, playing the video games and things of that nature, watching your favorite TV shows. No, open up the scriptures and read. All right. This is not a day where you do your pleasures. It's a day of relaxation and recuperation. Right. And, Lord willing, somebody was edified. Will be on the replay. Right. We definitely went over, the desired time, but we had to, guess what? Get the research behind, the changing of the day. We briefly teach our people in the highways and hedges, hey, you know, Friday, sundown, and Saturday, sundown. You don't need to do no work. You need to relax, chill, right? But today we actually dig very deeper into it, the history behind the change, what you're actually doing when you celebrate it on Sunday, right? And we got some accounts on taking a stance on it, the actual cause and effect, right? The undesirable, right, consequence behind breaking the Sabbath day. How serious the Lord sees this, right? So, Lord willing, somebody was edified or will be in the coming days. Hey, we love you, Israel. Hey, the proper way to say happy Sabbath is Ashar Shabbat. And with that, we say Shalom.
Ashar Shabbat.